Okay. Morning again. Now we're gonna look at websites. Now we're gonna take a deep dive into just pages, creating pages, moving pages, just all of the things you could do with web pages. Right? So I'm gonna switch to the old version, of course. I'm more comfortable there, and I believe you all should, take my lead there. So now we're at our website section, of course. This is where you go to down, just for your own reference. But this is the dam with all the images. But once we're in our website, say for instance, you would like to navigate to a page in Jamaica's site. Now, what I tend to typically do is go to the live site, use the URL to then work backwards to find the page in AEM. So pretty simply put, suppose I'm going to the Enough Data on Talk page on the live site, and I'd love to find this page on the in the CMS or the production instance. What I'll do is over time you'll get this will become very simple. But what I do is I copy the URL, all right, and I'd use the URL as my reference point, right? So notice everything. All of the websites are managed under the Digicel Group domain, which is the first aspect or the first portion of this full URL, digicelgroup.com. Everything preceding that is what you'd use to track the page in AEM. So in AEM, digicelgroup.com is pretty much the Digicel folder here. All right. Now we want to go to the Jamaica market. We go to Digicel, we go to markets, and then we navigate to Jamaica. All right. Now notice after Jamaica, the very first parameter you see is EN. EN is the language parameter, so that speaks to language, of course. Now, the language parameter is, of course, important for markets that have multiple languages. You have Spanish, you have French, etc. So we go to Jamaica, we go to English or EN. Notice the name here is EN. Now, everything under the name column is what you typically find in your URLs, right? Now, once we click on the English here and expand it, the next place we need to go is mobile. Now, notice the very next thing here is mobile, right? Now, one thing that's very important to note, right, is everything you click on the left-hand side or the left pane is populated on the right. So if I click on mobile, all the pages under mobile are then populated on my right side, right? Which is where we need to go. So we go to mobile, and then the next thing is plans and services. So mobile, we click on mobile, and of course everything is populated on the right. And the next page we need to go to is plans and services, right? Now we select plans and services on our left, and everything is populated on the right. Now we have to speak about the concept of child pages and parent pages. Now, a child page is pretty much every page that sits under a page. It's like the subset of that page. If you're into math. So, prepaid plans, 4G broadband, etc., are all sub pages or child pages of plans and services, right? Now, plans and services is the parent page for prepaid plans, 4G, etc., Right? So we have to understand that dynamic because a lot of the jargon associated with AEM, that's a very key piece that you encounter a few times. So we have to understand that. Now, going back to the URL, after mobile and plans and services, which we are at now, the very next thing we need to go to is our prepaid plans, right? So prepaid plans. Now, once we hit prepaid plans, we notice all of the sub pages are populated here, and the one we're looking to find is enough data, more talk. Now, remember that the parameters that are in the URLs are to be found under the name column. So we're looking for enough data, more talk. We double click this page, we double click the page, and then it opens up into a new tab. And that's pretty much how you'd find a page from the page URL that lives on the live instance. Now, once the page, you click on the page is loaded, right? This is the behavior that you'd see. And of course, you could manipulate the page here from how it means. Now, once we're in this view, which is what we call our edit view, right? Let's discuss views for a bit. We have what we call our this little what we call a widget is what we call our sidekick. Now, our sidekick is pretty much where all of your key functions live. From your sidekick, you could get into your page properties. You could copy, move, delete, activate, deactivate, etc. Your first tab is your components. Now, a component is pretty much just a simplified version of code. It's a user-friendly way to accomplish a task. So say, for instance, you want to have a form on your page. This is where you go. You drag and drop a component from the sidekick. Then you configure the component. And then, of course, you accomplish the task. You have a form on the page. So there's no difficulty to AEM. It's pretty much just knowing where things are and how to configure the different components to accomplish the task. So over time, you get more familiar with where the components are located and how to use them. So on the page itself, you have on your sidekick, like I said, the first is your components, the second is your page properties. The others, not necessarily important for your purposes. We have different views for the page. So we're currently on the edit view. As you see, this one is highlighted here. Now the edit view is pretty much where you could then edit the page. Self-explanatory, it's in the name. This is where you could configure your components, right? This is where you could copy, cut, move, delete, etc. Right? Now you have what you call your preview mode. Now your preview mode shows you how the page would look once it's launched. Notice there are no green boxes. There's no interfacing with the components once in your edit view. Now to get from your edit view, you click on this little drop down here, and then the page automatically goes back to your edit view. You have also what you call your design view. Now the design view is pretty much the mode the page goes in once you want to make global changes. Now global changes have to do with those changes that affect each page within the site, right? Now what I mean by that is those are the key elements that are present in every page of the site. Those key elements being the navigation, the logo, the header itself, the footer, right? These key things that once changed right, it affects the rest of the site. So once I click on my global properties here, if you notice this global properties triggers a dialogue between yourself and those global properties. Those things we just discussed, like the footer content. This is where you'd edit all of that information. The logo, the header navigation, etc., etc. We'll do another video to go a bit more in depth on that. But for now, that is just another view. Now to exit the design view, click on the same drop down, and then your page reloads and automatically goes back to your edit view. Now, those are the key features of a page. Thanks for listening.